I have not actually studied the actual numbers, and I don't know what we would need in order to be successful in a bid for another judge at this point. I know Benton County just asked for another position, and we'll see what the legislature does with that. But I haven't crunched the numbers for Washington County. So
No, you've been busy, haven't you?
I'm capable of doing what is on my plate. I'll put it that way.
And we'll do, but this is be good for a future discussion. I wanted to open this discussion, get your opinion on it, and I know it's not germane to what this ordinance is, but it would help, I guess, if it does Washington County. Thank you for your time, and thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
So I have a motion to pass it on to the Quorum Court with a do pass recommendation by JP, if I can read my writing, Koger, and a second by JP Riviera Lopez. A little off that time, sorry. Any additional discussion? Any citizen comment?
Hi, Sarah Moore, Fayetteville, Arkansas. I want to thank what it seems like we're going to pass this tonight. When we had the criminal justice assessment, it said, looking at case processing, looking at what we're doing with our criminal system, needs to be adjusted. And so I want to applaud Judge Taylor coming onto the bench, and she has been working a lot, and so has all of the staff that are in the criminal courts on the prosecutor and the public defender side and the bailiffs, I'm sure, have had longer hours. So I really appreciate that they really have tried something different, and it really has increased case closure. So I think the public is really appreciative of that. And I think it makes a lot of sense, and it's very smart to invest in data to lead our decision making and to really evolve how we look at things going forward. And so I look forward to what that opportunities that opens up for us and how we can make more informed, intelligent decisions. This is, kind of just the start. I think there's a lot of opportunities that will open up for us. But also, given what she told you about that closure rate, I really want to also appeal to you to be thinking about, public defenders and prosecutors when we talk about potentially another judge that was in conversation. Really, we don't have a lot of those staff, too, that have to be in those courtrooms and meet with those clients ongoing. Currently, the public defenders, if you look at each of their desks, they're carrying way over and above the American Bar Association's amount of cases they say is adequate for defense. And we've heard from the Civil Rights Commission that there's a concern about the constitutionality of how we're covering those cases. And so, again, I applaud Judge Taylor for the steps that she's taken, but also I hope that we will look at the data, we'll look at the evidence that's going to be able to be provided, and we'll think about those investments that are so small, but the returns that they give to us and the impact is so much more, so much greater, especially about thinking about pretrial folks where you have 400 to 500 folks that are there presumed innocent, but too poor currently to buy their liberty. When their cases get closed at a faster rate, our taxpayers are paying less for them sitting in the jail. And so again, I hope this is the first step, and I hope that tonight it sounds like we're going to approve this, and I appreciate that.
Thank you. Any additional citizens comment? Seeing none, we have a motion by JP Koger to pass it on to the full quorum court with a due pass recommendation, a second by Rivera Lopez. Is that better? I'll get there. All those in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, no. And we'll pass that on to the full quorum court. Item 13, an ordinance amending the circuit court, so amendment of the circuit court 8 budget for 2025. Okay, we have a motion to pass it to the full quorum court by J.P. Lemming and a second by J.P. Ricker. Any comment, any discussion? Sorry. Public comment?
Mr. Chairman, I appreciate it. I'm going to take you on your open invitation to speak back to the first item that you guys discussed. Afraid I'm here to be a little bit of a wet blanket tonight. I need you guys to come back to reality. I'm going to open up my hearts for you guys a little bit, and I want you to hear some stark reality that I have to say. I think this body has a really poor reputation around the county with our workforce and our staff, and I want you to be cognizant of that while you continue to debate your compensation. You know, I've often started to use the analogy within the county with our employees to explain the situation that we're trying to build an intricate sand castle at any given time. And that this group a lot of times shows up once a month and tramples part of that over. That's the way we feel. And we feel like we've got to go back and reconstruct that part while we continue on with the rest of our stuff. I so often feel like we're kind of in the twilight zone. And I want to think that you guys are, what discussion you think you just debated on that item and what we heard out there, I think is a departure from reality almost. I want us to think back and think about the public optics of this so that we can make sure we're doing what we know is right. If you think back to that December 2nd County Services Committee meeting that I unfortunately wasn't able to attend, Dr. Atta asked this group, how many of you have read the planning ordinance? And we got 2 or 3 timid hands that went up. The public is watching that. I also want you to know that you guys are taking a lot of victory for the great work that we've done for our employees, and I do appreciate each and every one of you for that. But that wasn't easy. A lot of times you guys scoffed at giving those employees those raises. It was very hard work to get that compensation package nailed down last year. And I think most importantly in my mind, a year ago, we had our purchasing director that missed out on those 2024 raises because of a paperwork issue. And Chairman, you single-handedly held up her raise and singled her out for a number of weeks, which I thought was extremely unfair. And that's what the employee workforce sees when you guys get in here and talk about this. So with that backdrop, you're about to give yourselves a 165% raise. Just to convene this body, it's going to be about $8,000. And so I just want you to think about that while we're working around for the rest of the county. And in conclusion, what I heard tonight scared me because it was that we have earned this money and we want the pay to equal our current efforts. And what I ask of you is, don't look at it like that. Look at it like this is a recommitment to the work that we have to do, and we would like to see 165% more effort. And I think the taxpayers are going to demand that. And so I'd please ask you to consider that, these optics of what it looks like from our workforce and the people that you lead to take such a drastic note. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Judge. Any other citizen comment? I have a motion by J.P. Lemming, seconded by J.P. Ricker to pass this item 13 on to the full quorum court to do pass recommendation. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. Item 14, an ordinance amending the AOC Juvenile Court Division 3 Grant Fund for 2025 is item 14. Based on the ordinance, we're getting additional grant funds and want to appropriate that to the AOC Juvenile Court Division 3 Grant Fund. J.P. Ecke?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to move this onto the full quorum court with a due pass recommendation, sir.
So we have a motion from J.P. Ecke and a second from J.P. Dean to pass this on to the full quorum court with a due pass recommendation. Any discussion? J.P. Lemon?
No, I was just going to second it, sorry.
Oh, this one. Any discussion? Citizen comment? Seeing none, motion by J.P. Ecke, seconded by J.P. Dean to pass item 14 on to the full quorum court to do pass recommendations. All there in favor? Aye. All opposed? It passes. We'll pass this on to the full quorum court to do pass recommendation. Item 15, an ordinance amending the AOC Juvenile Court Division 8 Grant Fund for 2025. Another, to appropriate the $3,000 to the AOC Juvenile Court Division 8 Grant Fund, thereby recognizing the revenue in the amount of $3,000 for the Juvenile Court Grant Fund. J.P. Lemming.
I just make a motion to pass it on to the full quorum court with a due pass recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion by J.P. Lemming to pass it on to the full quorum court to do pass recommendation, a second by J.P. Dean. Any discussion? Citizen comment? Seeing none, motion to pass item 15 to the full quorum court, the due pass recommendation, seconded by J.P. Dean. All those in favor, aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Passes on to the full quorum court. 16 is an ordinance amending the DEM budget for 2025. So Washington County received $49,170.07 for the Emergency Management Assistance Compact deployments for various fire departments. And Washington County anticipates an additional $12,855.83 for the EMAC deployments. And so the funds need to be appropriated to the DM budget to facilitate and allow for proper payments of the various fire departments. And that's what this ordinance does. J.P. Lemming?
Thank you, Chair. If you don't really realize what this money is where it's really for our USAR teams that go hurricanes and goes away, and they reimburse the cities that sent the firefighters that's on the USAR team. They sent them people. So this is really just to reimburse the money back to them. And that's why it says various fire departments. It's Springdale, Fayetteville, Bentonville, and one more. So I'll be voting for it. Let's, to the full quorum court with a due pass recommendation.
Second.
So for item 16, I have a motion to pass on the full quorum court the due pass recommendation by J.P. Lemming, a second by J.P. Ricker. Any discussion? Citizen comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to the vote. A motion to pass it on the full quorum court by J.P. Lemming, seconded by J.P. Ricker. All those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It will pass on to the full quorum court. Item 17 is an ordinance projecting revenue and carryover totaling $19,296,165.05 in various grant funds. Again, this is just rollover from last year in grant funds. We have to go through our ordinance to pass it into this year's budget so it can be sent. The ordinance identifies each of the individual funds or grants and the amounts. J.P. Ecke.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to pass this on to the full quorum court with the due pass recommendation.
I have a motion to pass item 17 on to the full quorum court, the due pass recommendation by J.P. Ecke, seconded by J.P. Dean. Any discussion? Citizen comment? Okay, seeing none, motion to pass it on the full quorum court by J.P. Ecke, seconded by J.P. Dean. All those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It'll be passed on to the full quorum court, the due pass recommendation. Item 18, an ordinance recognizing additional revenue in the amount of $60,000 in the high-intensity drug trafficking areas grant fund. So again, we're anticipating additional funds being sent to us from this grant, need to appropriate into the appropriate fund so it can be used. J.P. Ricker?
Make a motion to pass this on the full quorum court with a due pass recommendation. Second.
Okay, we have a motion to pass it on to full quorum court with the due pass recommendation by J.P. Ricker, J.P. Ricker, second by J.P. Dean. Any discussion? J.P. Koger?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, I appreciate it. Does anyone know what the special project line item for this grant, where does that money go? I mean, does it go like to the drug task force or to the sheriff's office? I will, thank you. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Any other discussion? Sorry. J.P. Lemon?
We might ask the sheriff, he could tell us.
I can't answer specifically where that 60,000 goes, but Washington County is the fiduciary for Arkansas for the HIDA, so that money comes in to Washington County, and then we distribute it out to Little Rock's part of the HIDA. We've got our drug task force. There are 5 or 6 entities within Arkansas that are part of that HIDA that we distribute that money to, but it goes for enforcement efforts for the high-intensity drug trafficking task force. So that's what it's for. It's just an additional sum of money that they decided to send to Arkansas.
Thank you, Sheriff. Additional discussion or questions for the sheriff while he's here? All right, thank you, sir. Citizen comment? Seeing none. Item 18, we have a motion to pass the full quorum court by J.P. Ricker, a second by J.P. Dean. All those in favor, aye? Aye. All those opposed? Okay, I'll pass on the full quorum court due pass recommendation. Item 19, citizen comment. Citizen comment, total 12 minutes, 3 minutes per person. If you come up to the podium, please.
Consent agenda have to come in?
It can come before or after. If you have it, we can do it. You have it? Okay, I'm sorry. Give me just a minute, ma'am. We'll come back. Okay, JP Hires.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to make a motion that we add items number 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18 to a consent agenda.
Okay, we have a motion to add items 10, 11, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18 to the consent agenda. Any discussion? Do I have a second? Oh, I apologize for the new JPs. For appropriation ordinances only, coming out of committee, we can add them to a consent agenda. They come to the quorum court as a single item. That's all voted on as a single item versus voting on each of them individually. And given all those were unanimously voted on by the same people here that vote on the quorum court, we'll put that in. So do I have a second? Second. Thank you, JP Rickards. Any other discussion? Okay, we have a motion to put items 10 through 18 on the consent agenda for the quorum court by JP Hires, second by JP Ricker. All those in favor, aye? Aye. All opposed? Those will be added to the consent agenda. All right, I apologize, ma'am. Back to citizen comment. Go ahead.
Sherry Main 15451 Riches Road, Fayetteville, and I'd like to address ordinance 9.1 that was approved for the full quorum court earlier in the meeting that I did not have the opportunity to speak at. I handed out a little spreadsheet tonight that I had worked on today, just kind of to give you some ballpark numbers of what you're looking at because I couldn't find anything to reference. And I thought that may be a tool that would help you with the ordinance. But do the JPs deserve a raise? Absolutely. It has been too long coming. I absolutely agree that you need a raise. However, the way the ordinance is written that was approved, it states elected officials shall be paid at the maximum amount allowed by law. It doesn't say all, it doesn't say, it just says elected officials shall be paid at the maximum amount allowed by law. You're elected officials. So in the approved budget, it states that you're going to be paid the maximum amount allowed by law. And that's by ordinance 2024-096. Now, the budget that was approved with this ordinance approved $216,000 for salaries for the Quorum Court. And I spoke with Comptroller today, Comptroller Sherman, and we visited on the phone. The way that $216,000 came about was he left some in for cushion. And I have this on the little worksheet I handed out. If you take an average of 3 meetings monthly at 12 months, that's 36 meetings, 300 per meeting, which it states highlighted at the bottom of the approved budget, $300 per meeting. That gets you the $162,000. Now, he put in the budget $216,000 for the JP's raise. So to stick with what the budget says, instead of having all these appropriation ordinances and amended ordinances, I've thought about this a lot, and you absolutely deserve a raise. Should we do $11,918 raise this year? I'm all for it. I know some people are not going to be happy with it because you waited too long to do it. And so now we're catching up. And what I have scribbled down here is actual budget amount is $216,000. If you divide that by 15 JPs, that's $14,400 a month for your salary. That's what's actually budgeted. That's a 100% raise from $7,200, what you're getting now.
Thank you, ma'am. Additional citizen comment.
I respectfully ask for more time since this is a detailed comment.
Well, you only get 3 minutes during the comment you would have had before, so you
Not
have,
even by suspending the rules.
I suspend the rules and give another 3 minutes.
So I have a move to extend for 3 minutes by J.P. Dean, a second by J.P. Lemming. All those in favor, aye. All opposed? Okay, ma'am, 3 more minutes.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, JPs, for the extra time. The increase will, every year with the Arkansas Association of Counties, you get a 3% COLA increase on the minimum or the maximum. If you're at maximum, it's a 3% COLA increase in the amount JPs make in population of over 200,000 people. It's not everybody gets the same amount. It's actually averaged by what the population is of each county. So each county is determined from the AAC by their population for the minimum and the max levels of their pay. And if you're at the max level, you get a 3% raise every year according to the AAC. So in 2026, you'll get a 3% COLA, and it will go up to $19,692 from the $19,118, which it currently is. And if you take the $14,400 now, which is double your salary, and you before the end of 2025 and 2026 budget, you increase that, tighten up the fine print, tighten up the wording, get it right, and the budget, then increase it to the maximum amount of $19,692. That will be with the COLA, the 2026 allowed amount. We're jumping $7,200 to $1,400, $400 this year, And in your second term, you're going to get $19,692, which is the maximum amount. I feel this is fair and equitable, depending the circumstances of this ordinance. To go back, you don't get a do-over. You amend, you appropriate, and I'm just thinking how constituents will think. Most constituents don't attend these meetings. They don't dive into the agenda and wait to get it like me. But I do a lot of research. I do a lot of public comment time, and I appreciate you hearing me on this. But that's pretty much my comments on the salary. Now, I know it'll have to be taken up again at the quorum court meeting to be amended or anything done with it, but if anybody wants to reach out to me, I know there are a lot of questions asked tonight about how you're paid, who decides it, all of this. It's in the AAC. You can look it up online. And about the mileage, I know Dennis asked about the mileage. 2025 mileage rate is 70 cents per mile. You have budgeted $7,500 on 2025 budget, and that's not enough for the JPs for their mileage reimbursement. In 2024, the budget was $9,000. Why did it decrease by $1,500 when the mileage rate went up at the federal level by 3 cents?
Thank you, ma'am.
Just throwing that out there.
Any additional citizens' comment? All right, with that, we'll adjourn the Finance Committee for today. Everybody have a good evening. Thank you.